Good evening. The Egyptian president reaffirms his country's rejection of Palestinian displacement while discussing Gaza peace with Singapore's president. Meanwhile, Iranian officials rejected sanctions defending their nuclear program's peaceful nature and condemned European actions as unlawful, stressing diplomacy while resisting external pressures. Welcome to special coverage here on Qnews, where we tackle the latest developments around the world. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has outlined Egypt's efforts to halt the war in Gaza. This came during talks with Singapore's president, where President el-Sisi welcomed the Singaporean president today at Etihad Palace in Cairo. President el-Sisi stressed Egypt's categorical rejection of any attempt to displace Palestinians from their land. Both leaders expressed strong alignment in their vision to end the ongoing crisis in Gaza and advance peace in the region. The official visit underscores efforts to deepen bilateral ties between Egypt and Singapore, aiming to expand cooperation and strengthen mutual partnership across various fields. Egypt and Singapore strengthen ties through trade, diplomacy, cultural exchange, and shared commitments to regional stability and growth. And joining us now to talk some more about this from Cairo, we're joined by the Al Ahram newspaper managing editor, Ashraf El-Ashri. Thank you very much for being here with us. So how significant do you think this latest President el-Sisi's categorical rejection of Palestinian displacement in shaping Egypt's role as a key mediator in the Gaza crisis?
Of course, asserting Egypt's strong stance announced on October 7th, 2023, that Egypt will not negotiate on anything in regards to liquidating Palestinian cause or displacement of Palestinians. This is a clear message to the U.S. and to Israel and to the international community, and announced by President Sisi in his meeting today. And he asserted some firm stances that Egypt will not change its stance and will not go back. And the stance announced with his counterpart, Singaporean counterpart today, asserts Egypt's refusal of the genocide and the atrocities against Palestinians in Gaza. There is there is Egypt's refusal of anything and anything in regards to Palestinian cause and liquidating Palestinian cause. The Egypt stance is long-standing and firm and support completely Palestinians in every possible way.
And do you think that Egypt's partnership with Singapore could add some extra diplomatic weight and really help towards advancing peace in the region?
Egypt will not leave and abandon its stance in providing international incubator to Palestinians and also is standing against international community stances and mediating with other countries to recognize Palestine. Today, with Singaporeans' counterpart, Cairo is firm in its stance in order to provide great international incubator to help Palestinians to get their legit and legal rights. So therefore, Cairo is creating international consensus during the last last months that will put pressure on Israel. Now there is great or international condemnation to Israelis' practices, and now Egypt is still condemning, criminalizing Gaza's invasion completely and strongly.
And how does President el-Sisi's position on Gaza reflect broader Egyptian national security concerns, especially regarding stability along the border and in Sinai?
This is inevitable cause. Egyptian leadership announced a firm stance and deterring stance that...
I'm just going to have to break in, I'm afraid, Ashraf al-Ashri there, just for a moment. We'll come back to you with any luck. But now we go to a broadcast of a press conference, some breaking news this afternoon. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi with the Singapore leader as well in Cairo. Let's go across there now.
ونتطلع إلى تعزيزها في المستقبل.
In the future, and in this context, I discussed with the President the future bilateral relations between Egypt and Singapore and how to push and advance it even more, especially on economy, culture, exchanging in experience, building capacities, and in regards to cooperation with Al-Azhar. We also tackled in our meeting today ways of enhancing investment and trade between Singapore and Egypt, which witnessed development in the last few years in order to even advance it more according to align with our distinguished relations and also aligns with what the capabilities of both countries. And I asserted to support Singaporean investments and increasing trade and investment exchange to have more opportunities and even expanded. Ladies and gentlemen, what Singapore has of great capabilities in trade and investment and what Egypt has with attraction and what was accomplished in the economic field qualifies us to have a distinguished cooperation between us extending to the Middle East and Africa.
باعتبار مصر بوابة طبيعية
considering Egypt as a natural gate to establish quantitative partnership in diverse partnerships between the two countries. And I seize the opportunity to recall all institutions, public and private companies, to pour more investments to Egypt.
والتي تشهد طفرة كبيرة
That
في
witnessed a
العديد من
great
المجالات
leap in many fields, which qualified it to attract mega investments in the last years from different countries, including Singapore. We witnessed the Singaporean trade forum will be conducted along with this important visit to achieve more opportunities and enhance the cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, we asserted during our meeting the importance of exchanging experience and trainings and building trainings on different fields, on top of which IT, air, maritime, environmental, renewable energy, and others, which Egypt and Singapore had made great steps during the last years, in which and both countries will determine more cooperative cooperation's points in it. And in this frame, we signed many memorandums and agreements in agriculture, health, maritime, transportation, training, which asserts the cooperation between the two countries. And on political side, I tackled with the president what Middle East is going through, the area is going through, especially what is the Palestinian cause, as we tackled Egypt's efforts to end the war and ease delivery aid access when within what Palestinians are experiencing of exacerbated genocide, with especially the expansion of military operations. And I asserted Egypt's stance to stop or end or refusal the liquidation of Palestinians and the displacement of Palestinians without giving the Palestinians their legal rights and establishing Palestinian state with on the borders of 1973. And we tackled the ways of ending the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. And I'd like to seize this opportunity to express to the President Egypt's appreciation to the health aid Singapore provided and still providing to our brotherly Palestinian people in their crisis, which is interpreted in humanitarian commitment towards the Palestinians' crisis. One more time, I'd like to welcome you, Mr. President, in Cairo, and I wish all the best and all the Singaporean people prosperity. And now I call Singaporean President. Now the floor is yours.
فخامة الرئيس عبد الفتاح السيسي.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, allow me in the beginning to express my gratitude and to the First Lady Intisar al-Sisi on your warm welcome, and to my wife in my first visit into Egypt. My first visit is the first of its kind to the Middle East. I'm proud to have here. Our friendship with Egypt is long-standing. It's the first Arab country recognized Singaporeans' independence in 1965, which was the most which is very important. And I'd like also to remember your visit to Singapore in 2015, which left an impact on our people. This is why we are always considered Egypt a dear old friend. We always agree to enhance this relationship and to enhance it and to look forward to the future together. We are two cultures different in resources, population, in land, and we have to mention that you exceed us in football skills, but in the same time we are in the same team in other fields. But what we establish together will be fruitful not only today but in many years, many coming years. The two agreements and the memorandums we signed, memorandums of understandings we signed, reflect our joint commitment to our deep cooperation, includes cooperation in health and in combating non-infectious diseases, also transferring information to hospitals, social work, efforts to support small and mega enterprises. I'd like to thank Mr. Sisi for his support to enhance our bilateral relation. Singapore appreciates Egypt's economic capabilities, and we were one of the most Asian investors in the last years, and we tackled how to enhance this cooperation. This cooperation is important in the light of the trends we see now and the painful hits to the economic system right now, and our communities are excited to find new opportunities of working together, and this includes many companies, specific international line, Olan Food Ingredients. These companies are widely spread in Egypt, and also we have Chankizankir branding, and also other Singaporean people are using the competitiveness in Egypt and young youth in Egypt, and also the strategic geographical position in the Middle East. And I will meet Mr. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, and in the in Singapore Egypt Business Forum we will meet again, and the business delegation also will visit Suez Canal on Monday. And which has become a mark in Egypt's growth, which has attracted many companies and Singaporean companies especially to seize the opportunity in economy field, and realizes its importance as a pivotal to as an access to trade and industry. So we can use Singapore as a platform to launch or to go to East Asia with and on the same level of importance, we are committed to enhance cooperation in dialogue between religions and also community solidarities. Communities have also worked hardly, and we are looking forward to meet Sheikh Al-Azhar Dr. Ahmed Al-Tayyib, or Al-Azhar Imam Dr. Ahmed Al-Tayyib, and the patriarch of the second patriarch of Church, to listen to their views of this important exchange views and how to work together as two countries and enhance the dialogue between two countries. Many Singaporean communities learned from the Islamic faculty in Al-Azhar. Actually, all Singaporeans, muftis are learned in Azhar. Azhar wasn't only a pillar to Islamic teaching, Islamic lessons, but a a standing and launching point to every other thing in Islamic teaching. So Mufti Muhammad Al-Yad and the president of University of Al-Azhar, they are the consultants in Singapore, and we are glad to meet them in a few months ago in Singapore, and also in we tackled with the Islamic Council in Singapore to prepare postgraduate certificates. President Sisi and I tackled or exchanged views on the issues in the Middle East, especially the death toll in Gaza. Singapore is concerned about the humanitarian situation in Gaza. Singaporean government also supported Palestinians' rights to a nation to themselves, and the solution based on negotiations aligning with the UN resolution is the only path to achieve inclusive, fair, long-standing solution to this Israeli Palestinian conflict. Therefore, Singapore will continue support all the efforts for two-state solution. This is why I praise Sisi's role in supporting humanitarian aid and ceasefire talks. And also to thank President Sisi for Egypt's support in his humanitarian efforts to Singapore. Singapore is doing its best to help Egypt and Palestinians. So our air forces provided in November 2023 and in January last year, the health convoys of military forces worked with the French military forces in the floating hospital in Arish port, and tomorrow I will visit Egyptian Red Crescent to witness a new pack delivery to Gaza's Palestinians in Gaza. And also the Red Crescent has a great role in delivery access. And also I'm pleased to announce that two of Singaporean doctors and two clinicals work now in Al Nasser institution, providing support to Palestinian patients from Gaza, and work in dialysis for children and also blood disorders for children. And this is the first time for Egypt to allow foreigner doctors to work in its hospitals, and we appreciate that this role is praised by Singapore, and we are looking forward to help civilians in Gaza. President Sisi visited Singapore last time in 2015, and we are looking forward to another visit, and we would like to welcome you and to the First Lady, Mrs. Intisar Sisi, in the next year. And celebrating the 60th anniversary of independence of Singapore and the relationship between Singapore and Egypt. Thank you so much.
President El-Sisi there, the President of Egypt, and his counterpart from Singapore at a press conference giving their remarks. President El-Sisi reaffirmed his commitment to the Palestinian people. He also thanked the leader of Singapore, President Shanmugam Garatnam. He praised him as leader of Singapore for his solidarity. And they talked about memorandums of understanding that have been signed. The leader of Singapore, President Shanmugam Garatnam, then spoke of his friendship with Egypt, between Singapore and Egypt, and spoke of Egypt being the first country to recognize Singapore's independence, of which they're celebrating their 60th anniversary of, and also said that Egypt may outdo Singapore in football skills, but there are other areas where they are much closer. Also, he praised Egypt for the Suez Canal and for economic growth, and said he will visit the Suez Canal on Monday, and lastly reaffirmed Singapore's commitment and support for Palestinian rights and their right to have their own country. President El-Sisi of Egypt and President Shanmun Garatnam speaking just a few moments ago. And now we go to the managing editor of Al Ahram, who is Mohammed Ezzardine, joining us from Cairo. Now, what areas of cooperation and investment would you say that President El-Sisi and President Shanmun Garatnam have agreed to enhance between Egypt and Singapore?
Thank you for hosting me in Qnews. There is a lot of fields exchanged between Singapore and Egypt, including electronics and some electric industries, in addition to some raw materials and some exports. Food exports and handcrafts. The trade exchange between the two countries is still have a long way, depending on still has a long way based on the great relationship between, which is the increasing of opportunities for industries, for manufacturers and investors in different fields. And there is also the economic free zones, as there is many advantages, and some factories may be transferred and use many experiences to Singapore and take advantage of the investments in Egypt. And we have a great competitiveness of wages, which attract Singaporean workers.
And what did you make of how both leaders addressed the ongoing situation in Gaza?
Of course, Egypt is long-standing, clear and firm, which is against liquidation of Palestinian cause, against displacement, allowing delivery access, and also against atrocities against Palestinians. Singaporean president during his visit asserts the importance of ceasefire, and there is coordination and aligning between the two presidents, and keenness on ending the aggression against Palestine and recognizing Palestine as a country, and also two-state solution or peaceful solutions is the only path to reach peace in the Middle East and avoid the whole region tensions with unknown consequences.
Well, you can definitely tell that these two countries are very close. You could tell the warmth between the two leaders, especially mentioning Egypt being very early to recognize the independence of Singapore 60 years ago from the United Kingdom. But also Singapore is more traditionally neutral when it comes to Middle Eastern conflicts. But Singapore seems to have very much aligned itself publicly here with Egypt on the Palestinian issue.
Of course, all of this is right, and I'd add also there is a warm relation between the two leaderships of the countries, and also Egypt is more keen to have a great relation with Singapore, and there is a matching in and agreement on views, and Singapore is one of the countries that is keen on peaceful solutions, and Palestinian cause have joint views from both countries, and they are keen on having unified agreements, unified view in front of the UN General Assembly that the two-state solution is the only path and the only solution, not the military operations. The relations are warm and kind between the two countries, and both speeches indicate that there is alignment in the views greatly, and the agreement on the importance of peace and escalating the situation in the Middle East, especially Gaza.
Well, thank you very much, Mohammed Ezzardine, for coming to give your views as we have just watched the press conference between President El-Sisi and the leader of Singapore. Thank you very much, Managing Editor of Al-Ahram. Thank you indeed. And that brings us to the end of this special coverage for this evening. Don't forget you can follow us on our social media platforms at Qnews EGY. Thanks for being here with us, and have a very good evening.